welcome to Inside Number 23, my channel which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie and you can find me on all of the social media bits and pieces as Miss Lavelli. I am most active on Instagram though. You can also find a Ravelry group for this podcast which has show notes and information about cows and giveaways and all of that good stuff just by searching Inside Number 23 on the groups tab on Ravelry, so please come over and join if you're interested. And I'm coming to you as always from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my husband Emrys, our pug Rolly, and today it is a really lovely, bright, sunny day, although when the weather's like this, I do tend to get the sun coming in and out behind clouds, so apologies if the lighting goes a bit haywire at any point in this episode. It is really nice to have a little bit of sunshine because, as you may or may not know, we have had a bit of a storm hurricane warning over the last couple of days. Doris the hurricane, which incidentally is an incredible name for a hurricane, has been causing a lot of problems around here. A lot of wind, a lot of rain, and it's been very overcast and horrible, but it is clearing up now, which is great. Little weather update in terms of what's going on here. I want to say a big hello and warm welcome back to anybody who's been watching me for a long time, and a huge welcome to any new viewers. Thank you so much for coming to spend a little bit of crafty time with me this week. I have a pretty action-packed episode for you this week, a lot of variety, which is really fun. And yeah, there's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get started. First of all, it is less than 2 weeks now until Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. I know that a lot of you have got in touch to let me know that you will be there as well. The thing that I would like to say, I am going to be in Edinburgh from the Thursday before Edinburgh Yarn Festival to the Sunday afterwards. I will be at the festival on both the Friday and the Saturday. Not entirely sure if I will be there for the entire day for both of those times, but I will be around. So if you see me, please feel free to come up and say hello. That would be absolutely wonderful. I am also going to be visiting the Podcaster Lounge. I'm very excited to be invited to go and hang out there. In particular, I will most probably be around for both of the podcaster meetups, the one on Friday and the one on Saturday, so if you want a definite time to be able to grab me and say hello, that is probably going to be the best possible time. But I am so excited, you guys, to be in Edinburgh because I love it so much, to be at this incredible yarn festival which I've never been to before, to catch up with friends both old and new, and I just think it's going to be wonderful. I'm so excited. I'm even excited about the train journey up there. It's going to be brilliant. But yes, less than 2 weeks, so suffice it to say I do have a lot of things that I'm working on specifically for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because as you'll know if you've been watching me for a while, I do like to put pressure on myself to have new items ready for specific events. But yes, like I said, I will be around for the entirety of the festival. Do please come and say hello if you're going to be around, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. A couple of other things. I am currently hosting 2 different cals in my Ravelry group. We have the Harry Potter cal, first of all. This is a year-long cal, which I'm drawing prizes for at the end of every month. So obviously we're coming to the end of February, if you can believe that. So get your February entries in, you guys. I have a finished object thread that's open and there are already a lot of people who have entered, but you do still have a few days left to get things finished. I think what I'm going to be doing is closing the finished object thread on March 1st, and then I will be drawing prizes the next episode after that. But if you want to kind of get involved for the February drawing, I'm just going to quickly show you again what prizes are on offer. So first of all, I have this incredible Harry Potter themed project bag, which was very kindly donated from Maker's Haven. It is beautiful. I have one very similar myself. I absolutely adore it. And we also have a gorgeous skein of yarn from Mon Sheep Shop, which I love. I think the two of them go really well together, and it's just a beautiful prize. So if you want to stand the chance of winning this, get your entries in. In terms of other details for the Harry Potter Cal, like I said, it is a year-long knit-along, and I am drawing prizes at the end of each month, and I have some really, really great prizes, you guys, so please get involved with that. It is very, very exciting, and yay for all things Harry Potter. The other Cal that I am currently running is the Andi Satterlund, which is basically a knit-along for garments by the incredible designer Andi Satterlund, whom I am a huge fan of. I absolutely adore all of her patterns, and that will be finishing at the end of March. So again, if you're a quick knitter, you still have time to get involved with that. We do still have a month left, and I have put some serious dents into my personal project for this knit along this month, so I'm very, very pleased about that. I do have a prize in mind, but I'm going to actually share that with you next week, I think, because I have a lot of other things to share this week. But oh my goodness, so many people have already finished their sweaters and cardigans, and they are glorious. Do head over to the Ravelry group if you want to get a bit of inspiration from the finished object thread for that knit along. But again, thank you to everyone who's been getting involved in the Cals, to everybody who has been kind enough to donate prizes. It is so appreciated. You guys are amazing, and it just makes me so happy that this incredible community is all just coming together and showing so much love for so many different things, and you just make my heart so happy, so thank you. Fantastic, so let's get on with all of the meaty goodness of the podcast this week, shall we? I'm going to start off with what am I wearing? And of course, it's fairly obvious what I'm wearing this week. I am wearing my blaster cardigan, which I finished last week, and I shared a little video clip of it in action. So if you want to see that, do check out last week's episode. But my goodness, you guys, I am in love with this cardigan. This is my pumpkin spice cardigan, as I like to call it, but the pattern is the blaster by the incredible Andi Satterlund. I've made it in Eden Cottage Yarn in their Bowland DK base. It's 100% blue face Leicester. It is glorious. The colourway is autumn, and I am just in love with it. I'm going to pop up quickly so I can show you the detail around the waist. So as you can see, it has these gorgeous little lace motifs that go around the entirety of the cardigan. Not awkward at all showing you that. And yes, the buttons, which I purchased from Loop in London, my little deer buttons, which just send this project completely over the top as far as I'm concerned. I am 100% in love with it, and it is fast becoming one of my favourite ever knit projects since it's been finished. I find myself reaching for it very, very often, but it's just so easy to wear and so comfortable. And again, this is one of the reasons why I just love Andi Satterlund and all of the projects that she creates, all of the patterns that she designs. They are just a joy to wear. So big thumbs up for my blaster cardigan again, and I think you're probably going to see me wear this quite a lot in the near future. I'm going to be mixing up the order of the rest of the podcast this week because I have a variety of different things to talk about, and a couple of segments that have been long missing are coming back, which is very exciting. But for my next segment, we're actually going to be talking about Owl Post. The little owls have been particularly busy this week and have brought me some really lovely goodies. I've had some very, very generous parcels from some incredible individuals, and a couple of them are specifically for Cal prizes, so I thought I would start off with those. First of all, I received a really, really lovely parcel from Emma of the Gaming Widows. She sent me a variety of stitch marker sets, some specifically Harry Potter themed for the Cal, and some for myself as well, which was incredibly generous. So Emma, thank you so much for your parcel. It is so appreciated. And I just want to show you guys a couple of these stitch markers. So first of all, we have a set which is specifically all of the Harry Potter houses. So if you can see here, we have a little lion, a raven, a snake, and a badger for the houses. And I have two sets of those. They're so cute. The other sets that she donated are actually based on Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So again, we have 2 sets of these. If you can see, there's a little broomstick, a boat, a letter, an owl, and a train, which is just perfect. And I think as well there's a little witch's hat in there. Yes, a little witch's hat. They are gorgeous. They are so, so sweet. So we have 2 sets of those as well. So those are going to be included for the Harry Potter cow for prizes. But in addition, she sent me a little set of stitch markers, which is incredibly appropriate for me. If you can see here, these are little pugs and bones, which are just perfect. I absolutely love them. The way that they're packaged is gorgeous. So if you're interested in seeing more of these kind of stitch markers, do head over to their website, which is thegamerwidows.etsy.com. And Emma, thank you so much. These are just... they're just fabulous. I love them, and they're so well put together, and it was incredibly generous of you. So thank you very, very much. The next parcel of kind of prize donations that I received this week was from Little French Meadow, which is a UK-based company that is all hand-dyed yarns and handcrafted accessories. And oh my goodness, you guys, they got in touch with me and asked me to kind of pick maybe some yarn for the cow. And there are a couple of colorways that I really thought were wonderful, and they sent me both. So guys, thank you so much. That's incredibly generous of you. And let me just show you this yarn because it's amazing. You're going to love this. So this first colorway, and these are both on a merino nylon blend, so 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. This is the first colorway. Look at this. It's just glorious. Oh, I love it so much. So this colorway, I believe, is the Luna colorway, based after Luna Lovegood, one of everybody's favorite characters, I'm sure. The second skein that was sent to me is this one. And this is Room of Requirement. So again, 2 incredible Harry Potter skeins of yarn. And if you want to see the label here, so Little French Meadow. 2 beautiful themed Harry Potter skeins of yarn, which are glorious. One for me and one for you. And I have to say, I think I'm going to be hanging on to the Room of Requirement, guys. It's just beautiful. But that means that this lovely skein is going to be going into the prize kind of basket for the Harry Potter cowl. It is absolutely beautiful. But if you're interested in seeing more of their Harry Potter colorways, because they do have a lot, then do head over to littlefrenchmeadow.etsy.com, check out what's over there. But oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. So thank you so much, guys, for sending me these. And this is just going to make someone really, really happy. And this is going to make me really, really happy. So yay, yarn! I received one other lovely piece of owl post this week, and this was actually not a prize for the cow. This was a gift for myself, and I just really, really wanted to share it with you because it is so special. I got a message from a lovely, kind viewer of the podcast, and I'm really sorry if I'm going to mispronounce your name. I believe it's Marjana. But she contacted me and asked if she could send me something that she had made specifically, and it is Harry Potter themed because, as you know, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. It's also Luna Lovegood themed, which just makes my heart so happy. But you guys, look. So if you can see here, this is a little progress keeper shaped like a radish. Oh my goodness, it's been handcrafted, which is just so beautiful. And along with it, we also have some stitch markers in this lovely kind of blue with beads. They are gorgeous, but this progress keeper just kills me. And she's also written on here, "You're just as sane as I am." Lovely Luna quote there. But this was just so thoughtful and gorgeous, and I haven't taken it off here yet because I wanted to share it with you exactly as it is, but I cannot wait to use it. And all I can say is thank you so much. Along with this, I also got some mini skeins and a couple of little treats, and also some treats for Rolly, which he very much appreciated, so thank you for those. But I just can't get over how beautiful this is. So thank you so much. It's incredibly generous of you. And you know, doing this podcast, it's never expected that I get sent things, but it really is just such a privilege to have people reach out and want to share a little bit of love back with me. And thank you so much. And like I said, I can't wait to use this. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so moving on from the lovely things that have arrived via owl post this week, I think it's about time we talked about what's on my needles. And a little disclaimer to start off with, I have been pretty much a monogamous knitter this week for reasons that will become pretty evident straight away. You may remember last week I was talking about my Wainthropp cardigan. This is my project for my Andi Satterlund. It is a pattern by Andi Satterlund, but the reason that I've been focusing on it this week is that I purchased blacker yarns for this particular project because I wanted to take part in the Blacker Yarns podcal, which is they are hosting, Blacker Yarns are hosting the podcast lounge at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival this week, along with Louise Scully of the Knit British podcast, and I just really wanted to get involved in that. So I decided that it was about time that I spend a little bit more of my knitting time on this project, seeing as it's less than 2 weeks before Edinburgh Yarn Festival. This time last week I had cast on the back of the cardigan and one of the front sections, but that was all. So it was really high time that I focused more of my energy on this cardigan. So let me show you how much I have done this week. So first of all, it's living in my Yarn Seller Studios bag. Look at how fat that is. That's how much sweater is in here right now, you guys, in my Ghastly's bag, which I absolutely love. Yarn Seller Studios is amazing. So from having very little cardigan to share with you last week, dun, da, 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 this is how much I now have. I have completed the entire body of the cardigan. So now all I have to do, I say as if it's not much to do at all, is cast on the sleeves and the button bands and then pick up around the neckline as well. But if you can see, I'm pretty impressed with that for a week's worth of knitting. It's a really lovely pattern. I've talked about previously how much I've enjoyed doing these lace panels. They are glorious. I really love it, and I have had to do a bit of finagling with this project in order to get it to work with the yarn that I chose. It is originally for a worsted weight yarn, but I decided to cast it on with Blacker Classic, which is an aran weight yarn. It's British wool with about 30% Blueface Leicester, and this colour is the pale green colour, which I really love. I don't have any kind of garments in this colour just yet, so it's making me very happy. I think it will suit me quite well when it's done. But yes, I've done the entire body in a week, and considering that this time last week I had maybe this much done of the front, I didn't have anything on this side, and then just a tiny bit on the back. That is a lot of knitting to do. So I am confident that if I continue the way that I've started with this week, that I will have it finished in time for Edinburgh Yarn Festival. But that is the ultimate goal right now. It's been challenging, I would say, knitting this pattern with an aran weight yarn, and if I were to knit it again, I'm not sure if I would. It is quite heavy, so I'm worrying that it's going to be a little bit too warm. But I love how even in this heavier weight yarn the lace shows up beautifully. I don't think that that's been affected at all by changing the yarn weight. I love the colour, and it's a real pleasure to work with this yarn. I've never used blacker yarns before, so I am excited that at Edinburgh Yarn Festival I'm going to hit their stall pretty hard, I think, and just see all of the different products in person. It's going to be lovely. But yes, I really need to crack on with this. I want to get it finished as soon as possible, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be another almost monogamous week of knitting. I have been working on one other knitting project this week, and not a huge amount of work has gone on to it, but let me share it with you anyway. So last week I shared a hoe with you, which was this lovely sock, which I have knit using the Sockmatician's Toe Up sock recipe. So I've completed the first sock. This week I cast on the second, and this is how far I've got so far. I have a very small little sock with my lemon sherbet progress keeper. This yarn is, as I've said previously, by A Homespun House. It is from the Harry Potter Sock Yarn Club, and it is called Dumbledore's Favourite, and I absolutely love this yarn. It's beautiful. I've raved about it for a couple of weeks now, but yes, this is all I've done so far. I'm at the point with this sock where I'm literally just going to be knitting round and round and round and round for quite some time, and then once that's done, I can start getting the heel in. It's really not going to take too long to get it finished, and I would like to get it finished within the next couple of days because this is technically my February pair of socks for my box of socks Cal, and although I did knit 2 pairs of socks in January, I do want to try and knit at least 1 pair of socks each month, because that was my problem last year with the box of socks Cal, is that I knitted like 6 pairs of socks in maybe 3 months, and then I just didn't knit any socks for the longest time. So I do want to keep these ticking over, but now that they're at this point, it's not going to take very long for that to be finished, and this yarn is so beautiful that it really does make you just want to knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. So hopefully very soon I'm going to have another pair of socks for the box of socks Cal, which is of course hosted by lovely Kristen of Vool and Vine Yarns and the Yarngasm podcast, and they are Harry Potter themed as well, so they will count for my own Harry Potter Cal, which obviously I'm not eligible for prizes, but I would still like to make sure that I'm completing 1 Harry Potter themed project each month, because I'm a glutton for punishment like that. Those are, by the way, living in my lovely Socksettra project bag, which was sent to me by lovely, lovely Shannon. And Shannon, hi, I miss you, sending you lots of love. So very excitingly, my next segment, as I hinted about at the beginning of the episode, is one that has been a little bit MIA for the last several weeks and months, but it's back. I'm very excited that it's back, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a regular segment from now onwards, and that is So What? Yay! Yes, you guys, my Sojo has come back with a vengeance, and I am just so excited, pun intended, to be sewing again. As you will have kind of noticed in the last several months, there's been next to no sewing on this podcast. I had all these good plans for projects. I'd cut out fabric for a coat that has not been touched since I last shared it with you on the podcast, and to be honest, I just haven't felt in the right frame of mind to sew anything. I've been very, very busy. Knitting has kind of been my main priority and my main source of joy, and I just didn't have the energy to get the sewing machine out to cut out fabric. It just didn't feel like the right time, which sometimes it doesn't, and we don't want to push these things when we're not feeling like that. And it does make me want to put additional pressure on myself when I'm thinking, oh, I need sewing content as well. I need it, I need it, I need it. Which is not healthy. So I've just decided to kind of allow myself that get out of jail free card when it comes to my sewing. What I would say, a lot of people have been asking about sewing content even though there hasn't been any in the podcast, and I just want to say, if it's not on the podcast, I haven't been doing it, you guys, so just bear that in mind. I'm not keeping secrets from you. I'm not working on projects and not actually sharing them. Everything that I've been working on comes onto this podcast, so if you're not seeing it, it's not that I'm keeping it from you. It's that it's genuinely not been touched. So there's a little answer to everyone who's been asking about where the sewing has gone. But happily, this week I have started a little bit of sewing. It is a relatively simple project, but it's a nice little kind of palette cleanser to get me back into the world of sewing, and I'm very, very happy about it. And it's actually a project for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because as I said, I tend to kind of put pressure on myself to have new outfits for special events, and I definitely wanted to make sure that I had some fun things to wear at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And I was really desperate to start kind of getting some of the fabrics that are in my stash, which is just over there, which is why I'm looking in that direction, out into the world, because I got some really, really lovely fabrics recently and I just want them to be on me. So without further ado, let me show you what I've been working on. So the project that I decided to crack on with is by one of my favourite designers when it comes to garments, and that is Tilly and the Buttons. If you've watched the podcast previously, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of everything that Tilly does, but her patterns are just glorious. And this pattern is the Cocoa pattern, which is a knit pattern, knit fabric pattern, which can either be a top, as you see here, or a dress. It also has a couple of variations, so you can make a funnel top, a funnel kind of neckline for either the top or the dress. You can put pockets on it, you can have long sleeves, 3/4 length sleeves. It's very adaptable, and my goodness, you guys, this pattern is simple. Yesterday, because that's literally the day that I got my Sojo back, I had a couple of hours to kill before I needed to head to work because I was on a late shift, and I thought I'm just going to have a look through this pattern to see how complicated it would be to make one. And I realised that for the version that I wanted to make, the dress, there are 4 pattern pieces. Now, I'm used to cutting out patterns that have maybe 20 pattern pieces, and so just to see that there were 4, my mind was blown. And one of those was for the little pocket, so really it was only 3 pieces to make this dress, and I thought, you know what? I am going to take the bull by the horns, I'm going to seize the day, and I am going to cut out my fabric, which is what I did yesterday. I selected my size. I'm between a couple of sizes in terms of my bust and my waist are one size. My hips, because I'm quite a hippie girl, are 2 sizes larger. So I did have to do a little bit of pattern merging to get that exactly right. But I am using this fabric. This is one of the fabrics that I picked up in New York. I picked this up from Mood when Emrys and I were visiting there recently. I love it. Isn't it just glorious? It's this lovely kind of orange and almost kind of camouflage brown stripe, which is really quite unusual, I think. I've never seen something like this in the UK. But yes, I cut out my pattern pieces, and I even had the time to do a little bit of stripe matching, because one thing that I know I'm going to want to have with this is all of my stripes to be as matching as possible down the seams, because when it comes to patterns, I get very obsessive with my sewing. So I have cut out my pieces. That's as far as I've gotten so far, but literally I had maybe 2 hours to look at the pattern, put all my fabric down, cut everything out, and I still had, I think it took me about an hour to do it in total, and I still had a bit of time left afterwards. But that's my other piece. Lovely. And then I have my sleeve pieces as well, which are here. I went for the 3/4 length sleeve for this pattern just because I thought that will be nice, kind of something that I can wear in spring and autumn and winter, most likely if I layer it up. But it's so cute. I can't wait. This is going to be adorable. And I know that when I do get the chance to sew it up, I will be able to sew it all in one session. So it's a nice, quick and simple sew. I also cut out a couple of pocket pieces in the same fabric, and I haven't decided whether or not I will sew them on and pattern match them, or whether I will go for the opposite stripe. I think what I'll do, I'll start kind of piecing them together as they should be, and then I will lay them on the dress once it's fully sewn to see how I feel, because I do really like kind of the contrast stripe, kind of going the opposite way. So when I say that, I would have the dress with the stripe this way and the pocket piece with the alternative stripe, so literally going in the opposite direction. But I also really love the idea of having the pocket just kind of melt into the design. Again, I'll see how I feel when I've got everything pieced together, but it's a little bit of work. I understand it's not as exciting as having a finished object or something in process, because it's literally just been kind of cut out and that's it. But I just feel really happy that I've made this first step back into sewing. And I just want to say again how incredible these patterns are. This is such a great introductory knitwear kind of pattern for sewists, because sometimes when you're inexperienced with working with knit fabrics, because they have that additional stretch, it can be quite intimidating. And for one thing, the presentation of these patterns is beautiful. You can just see it looks lovely, but they are so involved. There are pictures throughout. It is so kind of just a friendly pattern. It talks you through every single step of the construction of the garment, and I just love it. Cannot speak more highly of it, and I can't wait to have this. This is most definitely going to be finished in time for Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I do have at least one other dress that I want to make, but I'm not going to be sharing that with you because it's literally just an idea. It hasn't even been cut out at this point, but hopefully by the time I podcast next week, I will have for definite a sewing finished object and possibly another in progress. So yay, I've got my sewing mojo back, my sojo, and it just is a really nice place to be, and I'm really happy. And thank you for everybody for your patience in waiting for this segment to come back. I very much appreciate that, and yay, more sewing content in the near future. So I have one more segment before we get on to the final segment, which is of course a bit of waffling. But in addition to the owl post that I received this week, which was so kindly sent to me, thank you again, lovely, lovely individuals who sent me lovely, lovely things. I'm a little ashamed to say, but yes, once again, I have a stash enhancements section. I'm terrible, you guys, I am terrible, but I would like to say this is a purchase I made a little while ago that's just arrived, so it kind of feels like it doesn't count because I wasn't in my mindset of no buying things when I bought this. But I do have two lovely skeins of yarn which are joining my yarny collection behind me. So happy, can you see? Got my stranded dye works here now, right next to me. Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you, Amy, for being so incredible and dyeing amazing things. But let's talk about what arrived in the post this week in terms of stash enhancements. As you all know, I am a huge fan of Molly from A Homespun House and everything that she does. I think she's one of the most talented dyers out there. She has a really lovely style to what she dyes, and I think you can almost always look at a skein of yarn and know that it's one of Molly's. She is so talented. So recently she posted on Instagram that she'd done a little mini update, and me, sucker that I am, I decided to head over to her website and just have a little look and see what was on offer in her shop. You know, no stress, no pressure, just check it out. And two skeins managed to jump into my shopping cart and come to me from Berlin, and it was a stressful time. It wasn't stressful, it was amazing. But I did see two beautiful skeins that I could not leave behind, and I can't wait to share these with you. One of them, I have been meaning to try this base from Molly for a while. So when I saw the name of this colourway as well, I couldn't leave it behind. But the base is her merino tweed base, and I love anything tweedy. I'm a huge tweed fan. And as yet, in my lovely, lovely stash, which you see before you here, I don't have any tweedy yarns. Can you believe that? It's ridiculous. So I thought this has to come home with me. It is a 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, and then 5% tweed, which gives it these lovely nets. And the colourway is called the Shire. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I cannot get enough of this colourway. I think it is gorgeous. And the Shire obviously is a Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit kind of reference. The Shire is where Bilbo and all of the other hobbits live, but it has a very, very special place in my heart because I'm a huge Hobbit and Lord of the Rings fan. That was my main fandom before I got involved in Harry Potter, and it still has a very, very special place in my heart. But in terms of the author J.R.R. Tolkien, he grew up in Oxfordshire, which is one of the home counties in the UK, which Hertfordshire, where I am a part of, is a part of that whole area of the UK. And so I feel that it represents my home in Hertfordshire, the Shire, Hertfordshire, you know. So it just it had to come home with me for very many reasons. Yes, it's beautiful, but also it really kind of struck a chord with me in terms of that Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit reference, and like, oh, I just love it. It's so beautiful. This particular shade of green as well is very similar to my Wainthropp cardigan, and so it's just really appealing to me at the moment. I don't really know what that's about, but clearly it's a colour that needed to come home with me. That was the first thing that jumped into my cart. But let's be honest, when you're ordering something from Molly, it would be a bit silly just to order one skein because you probably end up paying similar postage and that type of thing for two. So this one really was a bit of a spur of the moment purchase, but I couldn't leave it. It was too pretty. And this is the skein. Oh, look. It's kind of a blend of a lovely bluey, kind of greeny colours together with orange and navy blue. And this is called Puddle Jumper, which I love. And I mean, look how cute it goes with my cardigan. All these things coming together. I'm a sucker for orange at the moment, and these little flecks of kind of rusty orange along with the blues and greens just made my heart so happy. This is on her Soft Sock BFL fingering base, which is a blend of superwash BFL and nylon, and my goodness, it is squidgy and gorgeous and lovely. And yeah, my two skeins of A Homespun House, which are happily coming to live in my stash, joining a couple of other skeins of Homespun House yarn that I have. I don't have huge plans for either of these right now. I'm relatively sure they'll end up as socks, but to be honest, they're just going to live in the stash for a while until I've decided exactly what I'm going to do with them. They are beautiful and they make me happy, and sometimes that's all you need when you buy yourself yarn. If it makes your heart happy, that can be enough. But yes, my two little stash enhancements of the week. I don't think there's going to be stash enhancements next week. My goodness, I hope that there isn't something that I've ordered and forgotten about, because that would be ridiculous. But yes, very, very happy that those yarns are now living with me, and yeah, I don't feel guilty. So it's time for the final segment of the podcast, one of my personal favourites, which is of course General Waffle. General Waffle. And for those of you who don't know, this segment of the podcast is where I can waffle on about whatever I want at the end of the podcast, and we cover a whole different variety of topics. We have done over the years, over the year and a bit that I've been doing this podcast. But this week, I want to talk to you about books. Yes, books. Now, I used to have an intermittent segment in my podcast called What Would a Bookworm Do?, in which I talked about different books and things that I have been reading, but it's been a while since I've had that feature, and that's mostly because of the amount of other things that I've had to share with you, and I do like to keep my episodes at under an hour. It's just personal preference for myself. But I have been collecting quite a few lovely books recently, and this is something that I want to spend more time on in my personal life with, is reading. I used to read a lot as a younger person, as you probably know if you are a long-time viewer of the podcast, and it is a habit that I want to get back into, kind of regularly reading every day. It's something that I've tried to get more into the habit of doing, and something that I have failed abysmally at over the past several months. So I've decided to set myself a goal on a kind of shorter term, something that I'm more able to monitor, and that is for the month of March, which is fast approaching. I will be reading every single day, and I will be kind of documenting that on Instagram. I'll just be taking a photo each day of kind of what I'm reading, where I'm reading, that type of thing. But my goal is to read a little every single day in March. And I know for some people who do read a lot, that's probably not that big of a deal. But for me, it really will be, because a lot of my personal time is spent working on my knitting and sewing projects, or watching TV or commuting. I used to have a commute on public transport, but I now drive to and from work. So my reading time has been vastly cut down over the last kind of year or so, and I just haven't built it back into my day-to-day life. So that is my goal for March, little disclaimer for what I'm going to be doing. So feel free to check that out on Instagram if you're interested, or if you'd like to hear about it more on the podcast, I can always do a little extra segment or possibly an additional video about that. Let me know if you're interested. But I thought I would share with you the books that I have put aside for March. I mean, some of them I've started already, but that's fine because there's 3 of them and I doubt that I'm going to read them all in March. But the books that I'm going to be reading as a part of that personal little goal that I've set myself. So the first book that I have picked for this little goal is a book that I've read before. I read this book at school and I've read it several times since then. I would go so far as to say that this is probably my favourite book of all time. I absolutely adore it. It's also been adapted several times into films, into a play, into a musical. It's made its way around. It's very well known. It's very popular, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Oh my goodness. I love this book. I'm obsessed with this book. But the reason that I have decided to reread it is because of this lovely edition that I have in my hot little hands. This was a Valentine's Day gift from my lovely generous husband Emrys. I have been looking for a special volume of Jane Eyre to kind of keep and read for a very, very long time. My personal edition that I had before this is the one that I used at school. It's very battered. I think at some point a drink exploded on it, so it's kind of discoloured and also very wobbly, the thing that happens to books when they get wet. So to finally have such a beautiful hardback edition of this book is amazing. It's also got all of this bronze detailing on it, which is just stunning, and I've already started to reread this book. Oh my goodness. I think sometimes when you've seen a lot of adaptations of a particular story, because I would go as far to say that I've seen pretty much every television, film, play, musical adaptation of Jane Eyre that there ever was, because I love it that much. You kind of forget how amazing just the original story is in its kind of complete nature. The way that it's written is part of the joy of it. So the story is incredible, but the words that tell that story are really something special. So I'm very, very happy to have this. So far, I have read the first 2 chapters, so it's very much still at the beginning stages, but I know that I'm going to power through this, and I'm very, very excited to get a little bit of a Bronte taste after all these years of not reading this kind of a book, or not reading at all. The other 2 books are new to me books. One of them is not a new book, one of them is pretty much brand new, but I have not read either of these previously. The next one I'm going to share with you comes with a disclaimer, because this is a book about babies, and no, right away, Emrys and I are not currently trying for a baby. Not that would really be anyone's business other than ours, but I know that people will start going, oh, you're going to have a baby, and no. I'm just a very, very big fan of the author of this book, which is Giovanna Fletcher, and I have talked about her previously on the podcast. She's written a couple of novels that I really, really enjoy, but this is basically her take on motherhood. It's not a self-help book, it's not a how-to book, it is literally just Giovanna's experiences as a mother. She currently has 2 beautiful little boys, and if you are a YouTube watcher and you like that type of thing in general, which you may do as you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out her personal YouTube channel. I'm a big fan myself of her and her husband Tom and her sister-in-law Carrie. I watch all of them on YouTube, so I had to get her new book when it came out, and my goodness, it is so sweet and touching and emotional and honest, and I've loved it so far. I'm about this much through so far. It's a very, very quick read. I honestly think that if I had a long period of time to myself, I really could just devour this book in one setting. It's very gentle in terms of the style of writing, and it's just fascinating. Obviously, not being a mother myself and never having been pregnant in the past, I don't really understand the ins and outs of the whole process. So to me, it's almost like research and just kind of finding out about something that I really don't understand, but obviously I'm interested in. Probably will want a baby at some point in the future. And the way that Giovanna talks about all of these things is just very honest, like I said, and I genuinely think this is the type of book, whether you have a baby, whether you're interested in babies, whether you just are a big fan of her, it's well worth a read. And I'm very excited to kind of finish this, because that would be the first book that I finished in a really long time. But yes, a nice little bit of a change. So the thing that I like about these 3 books that I've picked as well, they're all very different and kind of deal with different subjects. So if I get bored of one, I can literally just hop over to the next one. Because the 3rd book that I've picked for this kind of reading bonanza is a true crime book, which I heard about through my recent obsession with the podcast My Favourite Murder. If you're not listening to My Favourite Murder and you're a fan of true crime, you really, really, really should. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. I listen to about 2 episodes a day on average at the moment. But they were talking about this book, which is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. And it is all about a serial killer in the 1800s rather, called H.H. Holmes. You may have heard of him. He is incredibly well known in terms of the history of serial killers, if you're into that kind of thing. It's a little bit gruesome, so I won't go into the details of exactly what he did, but suffice it to say, he was a doctor, he was incredibly charming, and because of that he was able to persuade a lot of young ladies to visit him at his hotel, and not very many of those ladies then came out of that hotel. Like I said, I'm not going to get graphic because not everyone's going to be like me and kind of into the details of this type of stuff, but I have heard from very many people since sharing this book on Instagram that it's been very widely read. A lot of people have loved it. People who I wouldn't necessarily assume to be into true crime have said that it's a fascinating read, and it was, as it says up here, the #1 New York Times bestseller. So, you know, obviously people are into this type of thing. The interesting thing that I found out as well since buying this is they are actually going to be adapting this into a film starring Leonardo DiCaprio as H.H. Holmes, which I think sounds fantastic. But yes, I want to start this as soon as possible because there are a lot of other kind of serial killer, true crime, murder podcasts that deal with H.H. Holmes. So I don't want to listen to those until I have read this book. But yeah, you couldn't really get a more diverse selection of reading material, could you? We have from kind of classic Charlotte Bronte to a very modern My Adventures in Motherhood style book onto true crime about serial killers in the 1800s. I like a bit of variety in my reading material, but yes, like I said, I'm going to be sharing each day on Instagram a little shot of kind of what I'm reading and where, because I think that will be a fun little project anyway, and maybe I'll create some kind of a hashtag for it. And if you have any ideas for a sort of reading themed March hashtag, because right now I haven't really been able to think of anything that clever, again, feel free to get involved if it's something that you think is interesting. If not, I'll just keep it as a little personal project of mine. Maybe if enough people are interested, we could just open up a thread in Ravelry so we can all talk about what we're reading. That might be fun. But yes, again, let me know. So that is everything for this week, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me again, for listening to me ramble on about what I've been making, what I've been knitting, what I've been sewing, what I've been reading. I'm so excited. I've got so many fun things to do this week. It's going to be a really, really good week, I think. But if you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Like I said, it's a good time to hit subscribe in terms of finding out about giveaways and that type of thing. But that's basically the easiest way that you'll be alerted as to when I have a new video on this channel. So if that's something that you're into, then please do just give me a little subscribe. Very much appreciated as always. But for now, I hope you all have a fantastic week, filled with all of the things that make you happy, whether that's true crime books or knitting, you know, whatever works for you. Just enjoy yourself, happy sewing, happy knitting, and I will see you all again next week. Bye!